What it is, everybody. I'm going to give you the latest in the Q news, since that's what everybody is dying for, and that's what's trending here on YouTube. I have to make sure to cover the trending news. Thanks for joining me this Thanksgiving weekend. It's Sunday, November 26th, 2017. How many days without a false flag? I almost can't count. For you live viewers, I'm checking CNN. I have it running. Apparently, there's some sort of active shooter at a mall in New York. I just got an update on that. So I'll check the news and make sure to keep you up on live news as it's breaking, if that happens. I have something really exciting for this shopping weekend. Hold on, let me have a drink. You saw this? So anyway, I had a generous donor who allowed me to do this, wanted me to make some deals on some stuff. So I have, to support this show, which is almost impossible, because I once almost had a successful show when I had 30,000 subscribers. But now I'm here, and I'm still queer, and I'm still not going away. I have a proposal for you guys on Patreon for this mug and then the white version of this shirt, white with black print. For those of you who really love Lift the Veil and just happen to want to support me on Patreon, that link there, patreon.com/lifttheveil. This is what I have for Cyber Monday. This is my page on Patreon. I have 2 new levels that can have 10 people each. This one that says Seer, which comes with a coffee mug. It's $15 a month. And Mentalist, $20 a month, gives you a t-shirt. So it's cheaper than buying it off the website. I'll send it after one payment only. So you'll get it in time for Christmas if you sign up here at the end of the month. So $15 is cheaper than the mug sell online. And then shipping is crazy. This is all going to come with free shipping too. So let me make sure my levels are right. So I wanted to make sure you guys had that offer since you're interested in doing a lot of shopping right now. Hold on. There. Is that better? Okay, that's better. So that's news. Before we get started, I'm going to play you something here to get people tuned in about the latest news from Q and Donald Trump. Do I have to tell you who Q is and what Donald Trump is? I'll tell you after. And assume that you're caught up on all this stuff. This is going to be a video from Jordan Sather, young YouTuber with about 65,000 subscribers, destroying the illusion. And I'll put this link, just to be fair, I'll put this link in my description. This video is called Trump Verifies QAnon with a Retweet. So I wanted to see what it's all about. I've been trying to follow this stuff. Q is popular. Q is trending. My videos that are doing well all have Q in the title. Everybody's interested in Q. We're going to tell you why we might want to have a different kind of thought about what it means and whether we want to wait for something inevitably to happen or if we want to do something about this universe ourselves. Let me play this video and then my intro, and I'll be back for the live show.
Hey guys, thought I was going to settle down for the evening, but President Trump sent off a retweet that I feel is crucial, huge. So check this right here. I want to share this with you. He said about 4 hours ago, "Wow, even I didn't realize we did so much. Wish the fake news would report. Thank you." And what it was doing was retweeting this here by an account called MAGAPill. They have a website, magapill.com. And when you go to this website, you see what had happened is actually once President Trump retweeted this website, which their article was Donald Trump's accomplishments during his first term, what had happened is the website got taken off, and I had actually tried going on to it about an hour ago, and I got in error, server database error going to the website. And here you can see what had happened is the website got hit, and the person that owned it, the MAGA here, they said they got an email saying, sorry for the inconvenience. It appears the database was deleted from the server. So we have an obvious hack attack on this website right after Donald Trump retweets it. You can even see on their Twitter here, their pinned tweet is of Liz Crokin. She's awesome. She's talking about Anthony Weiner's laptop and a bunch of Pizzagate stuff. So, I mean, Donald Trump's retweeting this here. This is big. And here's an archive of that website. You can see it's currently down for maintenance while they recover from an outage. But this was actually the very first article. This was what the website looked like right before Donald Trump retweeted it. And you can see the very first story here is of Q Clearance Patriot, the storm and the awakening. And it's an awesome quick article, but I mean what we see here, folks, is basically a indirect verification of Q from Donald Trump. This looks to very well be the case. I mean, it's not a direct verification, but if we have this article being the featured one, we'll run through it in a minute here, on this website that he retweeted, what else can you really say? And this is a pretty good article that was written about the Q Clearance Patriot. It was on November 19th here. And it's a good basic overview. And it starts off by saying, you know, the QAnon posts are so vast that it's so tough to write even one little article about it. I mean, even me doing half-hour-long videos every day or every other day isn't quite enough. But he answers some of the questions. And he says, I'm going to give you my feeble attempt, he or she, at the Cliff Note versions of just a few of the first posts. And the first posts were three and a half weeks ago now. And it's basically talking about, he answers the special counsel questions, the high-level officials that will soon be arrested, the drain the swamp, calling it, he's saying it'll trigger an awakening, and discussing the occultist Luciferian elites and how they literally worship their own separate sick religions, and then also delving into the Illuminati aspect of it, or the Rothschilds, Saudi Arabia, the oil money, the, you know, how the deep state keeps their control around the world. So great sentence here. It says this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take out this global cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. Basically it right there. And not just a global cabal, but like I've always said, there's a non-terrestrial component to all of it as well. You know, the kid diddlers are the ones that hide the secret technologies and cosmic understandings from us. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I'll post the archive link down below and the link to the Twitter page and all this stuff so you can check it out. But like I said, it's basically a indirect endorsement of QAnon being completely legit. And this is amazing. We need to, again, research the information, look at all the posts. Again, under this post, I'll post under this video, I'll post the running thread of the QAnon, so you can go back through and answer all the questions, connect all the dots in your head. And what that'll do is allow you to be able to speak on these subjects to people who have no fucking clue what's going on, what's going to go on. So just like it said in one of these Q posts, you're going to be the calm before and during the storm, during being this now. It's hitting, it's going to hit, and it's going to keep continuing. So anyway, yeah, Q study group, that'd be dope, right? Or just your own, right? Be your own, you know, your own conduit of consciousness expansion. So anyway, have a good night, guys. Take care.
Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. Every fucking day, it seems like. Even though I took the last 2 off. Hey, what it is. That's what I usually say when the show starts. Oh, yeah, I already started the show? That's all right. There's a cold open and then the real open, prime time. You're watching the prime time show right now. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I'm not Jordan Sather. I'm just not nearly that famous. But I played that as an example of the breathless coverage that you can find on the internet about Q, about the mysterious, very mysterious, unidentified, anonymous poster on 4chan, a hub of information. What kind of information? I don't know. 4chan, his posts look a little like this, if you haven't seen. This is a thread of them. Lots and lots of questions. If anything, and a tremendous researcher, I guess, seems to make a lot of connections, seemed to have predicted what happened in Saudi Arabia, but also made a lot of promises that we can maybe say at this point have been broken. In fact, it happened very early on. He had a prediction that John Podesta or Tony Podesta would be arrested on November 13th, for example, and that Huma Abedin would be on November 16th. Those are very early in his post. Still, he's getting a lot of coverage and people are interested. I think I might have told you the 2 videos I have that went anything like viral, that gave me some views and some subscribers. They had Q and the storm. That's the big thing. That's why I put it in the title today. Actually, because I'm going to be talking about it too. Let me show you an example of the coverage that we have on it. The people I've been following, for example. One of them is Jordan Sather destroying the illusion a little bit. More than that, Roy Potter QA, an older gentleman with about 28 years of military experience. If you guys want to keep up, I'll just show you an example though. People are really covering the crap out of this. And Roy Potter, like myself, has predicted that something major is around the corner. And this is kind of an idea about how much is being posted about Q. You see here a video about Q. Rothschild helicopter crash is about Q. This is about Q. And you can see lots of views too, and that Jordan Sather video I played had about 60,000 views already. This stuff about Trump, and here's one with 60,000 views. Trump attacks NWO with counters of its own language. He shouts out Tracy Beans, who's reading from Q all the time. I've had trouble with Tracy Beans. She was involved in gang stalking me with Dave Swigert and some other channels. If you were around, that was right before my channel got knocked down. And she's been on InfoWars, and she's connected to other people that are problematic. I've learned to realize, or I've learned to think differently, that not all these people who participate in these nefarious schemes necessarily are nefarious all the time. Just because they came after me doesn't mean that their objective is necessarily evil. All the same, what the hell is going on with Q? Why is nothing coming true? In relation to that, in relation to thinking that the end of the world was nigh, not the end of the world, but some world-changing event, which a lot of it has to do with the thought that there are over 2,000, I believe at this point, sealed indictments. This is being widely reported. I have not been able to verify it, but I've talked to someone who should have been able to, or is a deep researcher, who says he verified it, over 800 indictments. We're waiting for the next shoe to drop, right? A lot of what the Q thread proposes is that Donald Trump is our savior, that Donald Trump is a genius. And you'll hear the same thing reported, parroted, I guess you could say, across the alternative media, particularly some of these voices, which I just pointed out on YouTube. Donald Trump is a genius. He is, and particularly Q will say this. Everything he does is a matter of calculation. He's playing on a different level. They call it 5D chess that he's playing. I'm going to tell you that I don't think Donald Trump is that smart. I don't think anybody should give any man that much credit for acting so stupid and doing things that are so politically absurd and apparently being in full control of his resources. I don't think people should be so naive. I don't think that it's appropriate in the first place to put our faith in men. And certainly it's not appropriate to wait for somebody else to change your life or to change our lives. The only person that can do that is you. And the only way we're going to take back our control of this universe is with you, changing yourself first, and then changing the things most immediately close to you, and then slowly spreading your influence until you change the universe. But this Donald Trump changing the universe, I wouldn't count on it. There are some things that went on. I got excited too with the Saudi Arabia purge, that they probably arrested people or rounded up people who were involved in the Las Vegas shooting event, which was not a hoax. Although now there's some evidence perhaps that the conspiracy theory, you could call it, that it was a hoax, was actually spread or propagated by forces aligned with the MGM Grand Properties. That they may have actually been pushing the idea that it was a hoax in order to discredit actual investigations. I thought it might have been too at first. But when you look deep enough into it, you find out that people really did die. People really did get hurt. Why we saw so many crisis actors on TV, who knows? But in Saudi Arabia, they might have rounded those people up. And that attack in Las Vegas was an attack on Trump, I believe, and Trump supporters. So Trump naturally aligned with Mohammed bin Salman over there, the new tyrant in Saudi Arabia. And he's behind him on everything. The illegal war in Yemen, which is causing a humanitarian crisis, and the upcoming war on Iran. That is all stuff because Donald Trump is a Zionist and is working on behalf of the state of Israel, not necessarily in American interests all the time. He's going to support a war against Iran too, and probably willingly send soldiers off to fight in it. We still have soldiers in Syria. They say at least 2,000, but they said 4,000 a few months ago. It's probably higher than that. And he's in the news again today regarding all this sexual misconduct. Hullabaloo. Hullabaloo is probably the word I was looking for. He's not perfect. He's not going to save you. He's not going to save us from the evil forces which control this universe, or at least give the impression that they are in control. They're not anymore. They haven't been, really, since Las Vegas, pretty much, if you want to pick a date. Something changed. Their rituals don't work anymore. And maybe that's why nothing happened. I was really assured that something is around the corner, and maybe something still is. And certainly something is needed to shake things up, because now we're at a point where change is required. And for change, we need destruction, chaos. They don't follow that Ordo ab Chaos thing for nothing. It's the truth. The phoenix and everything, that's how things work. Out of the old, the new is born. But first, you have to get rid of the old, right? Or if you're into aliens and higher dimensional, higher density states of being, for us to cross over into fourth density or fifth, the old one's got to go. So we're waiting. We're waiting to see the signs of that even more than we have. A lot of people are fed up with waiting. So what I can tell you is just don't wait. You have to do things. And locally, or like I said, it's a spiritual war. And that's what Roy Potter will tell you too. And I think that's what Jordan Sather says too. Because it's true. It is a spiritual war, which means you change your spirit as above, so below. How things are manifested on the spiritual planes is reflected on the physical plane. That's why I look so good. People say the first, forget it. Shouldn't have made that joke. Okay. Let's see. So what he referred to in that article was people really want to believe that stuff is about to happen. They really, really want to believe. And the only thing I could think, and I want to believe something's going to happen. It's frustrating nothing happening. So they're trying to connect these things, like the fact that Donald Trump is actively endorsing a character known as Q, who appears on 4chan and writes cryptic messages. People have been tried to do it before with another tweet where Donald Trump may have tweeted a series of pluses after Q, which in fact was debunked, I guess you could say. Apparently the pluses came after Trump tweeted it. But there is a desire to have an endorsement of this Q so that we can know he's for real and that this shit is going to happen. You know what the other thing Q promotes is? Martial law. He wants us to believe, the entity known as Q would have you believe that Trump is in control, that we can trust Trump, go Donald Trump all the way, that he's looking out for us, going after pedophiles. He's friends with Jeffrey Epstein, by the way. He's flown on his plane many times, was neighbors with him, named in a lawsuit with him. He's going after pedophiles, you know. We hear stories, they're all being rounded up. Do you believe it? Go ahead at your own risk. Because people want to believe. And Q will have you think that Trump's in control, and the way that this is going to be solved is with the military. And so when martial law comes to your neighborhood, welcome it. That's just Trump fixing the problems. And who's he going to arrest, by the way, if there are 2,000 indictments? Is that really going to be fair and just? Who knows? If it's true, think about it. We haven't seen any evidence yet, have we? You're the one. You're the one who can change. The MAGA, all the way. I have a lot of people listening to me who believe that, I think. A number, at least. A number thought I was too hard on him before. I've been in his... I was excited, actually, about the Saudi Arabia things. Thinking some other things come true. I've been rethinking it. And rethinking my own duties. Because I said in a Patreon post just last week that I'm waiting for something to happen. Because that's when shit will really blow up. I'll be able to cover, I'll be covering the live thing, whatever it is. And I was told you shouldn't wait. What are you waiting for? And so I thought about it, and I brought you this show. So this is what Jordan was referring to, that apparently Donald Trump retweeted. And this is a story about Q, Clarence Patriot, the storm and the awakening. And this wants you to believe, it summarizes a lot of what Q said, is that the special counsel is not corrupt and that's just a smokescreen, that Mueller is not actually running a corrupt investigation and is and it's making it appear like the Trump team is what's mostly under investigation. Many high-level officials will soon be arrested to actually drain the swamp beyond what anybody thought possible. And then, this article goes on to say, once the corruption and the type of corruption is revealed to the American people, it will trigger the awakening This event will be something unlike anything you've ever witnessed. Americans will unite behind Trump and his administration for cleaning house. They're going to go after the occultists. We're going to learn about good and evil. And we're going to go after Saudi Arabia, Rothschild and Soros. And maybe something happened at that helicopter crash. That's the video YouTube decided to push for me. Q seems to indicate maybe that something happened at that helicopter crash. Maybe involving Lord de Rothschild. We'll see. All I can say is I've been thinking about it, and I'm not going to hold my breath at this point. Although I'll be ready. I'll be ready to cover it once things actually start to play out. Donald Trump got himself in trouble today. You decide what you think about Donald Trump. He completely supports this guy, Roy Moore. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second. Roy Moore, who has been pegged as being not a pedophile exactly, but that he preyed on young girls, underage girls, as young as 14, and I guess you could call him a sexual predator. And in one instance with a 14-year-old girl, went further. It was reported that he was banned from his local mall because of constantly hitting on young girls and hanging out at the mall in his 30s as a district attorney trying to pick up young girls. He has been broadly condemned by his own party establishment, which doesn't want to deal with him getting elected and then them having to deal with the fallout in the Senate. Donald J. Trump was fairly reluctant to come out and condemn his behavior, and now is basically saying he believes Roy Moore. He tweeted out today that the last thing we need in Alabama and the U.S. Senate is a Schumer Pelosi puppet who is weak on crime, weak on the border, bad for our military and our great vets, bad for the Second Amendment, and wants to raise taxes to the sky. Jones would be a disaster. That's his Democratic candidate. And again, he says he endorsed Luther Strange in the Alabama primary. He shot way up in the polls, but it wasn't enough. Can't let Schumer Pelosi win this race. Liberal Jones would be bad. And he said earlier somewhere else that the important thing was that Roy Moore denies everything. And that because he denies everything, he believes. And this is all because of tax reform, which is why he mentions taxes. His tax reform plan has zero chance of passing the Senate, getting through the Senate, or at least getting into bill form. Nobody supports it. It's a tax cut for corporations. It's maybe a tax cut for you or for someone in the middle class, maybe, depending on where you live, how high your property taxes are, how big your mortgage is. Your taxes might just go up right away. And even if they don't, in 10 years they will. And the corporations will still keep it. And that's all at a $1.5 trillion deficit. And the way the government gets money is through taxes. So it's a tax cut, which you'll have to pay taxes for to repay. And it's mostly benefiting corporations. It doesn't have a chance, even with Republicans, because anybody from a blue state where they have high property taxes, it isn't going to want to go for that provision. And people know that it's a bullshit tax plan that benefits corporations, shockingly. With a very slim margin in the Senate, Donald Trump can't afford to lose a Republican seat and still get this tax plan through. So he'll support Roy Moore, no matter what the fallout. We're going to see how it's true on the other side, too. We're going to see from Nancy Pelosi defending her Democrat sexual deviant. She does it, too. Then we'll talk about Mike Cernovich. I mean, this sexual misconduct stuff is out of control, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful how you address it, because this isn't the right time to be doubting victims' statements and stuff. It's not the right time. That's all I can tell you. Whether that's safe or dangerous, whether people start coming out with false accusations to smear people, that's, I guess, kind of beside the point, in that politically, you don't want to be doing what Donald Trump's doing. I don't think people are okay with a guy cruising around for 15-year-olds. I don't think anybody's okay with it. I don't see anything wrong with the reporting on it. Plenty of witnesses and stuff. Plenty of people who were there. And not much besides him disputing a yearbook signature, Roy Moore, not much to dispute. He was into young chicks. Some people I've seen say, oh, it's normal behavior. So I guess you can decide if that's the case, whether it is normal behavior for a guy in his 30s to go after teenagers. Maybe it is to some people. It seems like it. I've read some writings that suggest that, hey, we're just going after guys for being guys. Even maybe my reporting on Mike Cernovich, which is coming up, will make you think that he's just a guy being a guy and that it's all right. That's all okay. I'm just telling you what I think as far as how it's going to play in the real life. So the big story today is that John Conyers, after the reporting by Mike Cernovich and BuzzFeed, has stepped down as ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee amid an ethics probe of sexual harassment claims. So he has stepped down. He won't resign from Congress, and he will fight the allegations in the hope of reclaiming his top spot atop the committee. He's the longest serving member of Congress, and he's accused of being a serial sexual deviant, I guess we can say. That's the word I've been using, sexual deviant. He's accused of that based on, again, a story on BuzzFeed, this one, which was sourced from none other than what some would call an alt-right provocateur, Mike Cernovich, conspiracy theorist Mike Cernovich. People say. That's what the Washington Post says about him. Mike Cernovich gave this story to BuzzFeed, and the reporting goes, as far as what he's accused of, okay, is that it came out that he had settled a wrongful dismissal complaint in 2015 with a former employee who alleged she was fired because she would not succumb to his sexual advances. She said that he repeatedly made sexual advances to female staff that included requests for sex acts, contacting and transporting other women with whom they believed Conyers was having affairs, caressing their hands sexually, and rubbing their legs and backs in public. 4 people involved in the case verified the documents are authentic. Okay, I said that. Then BuzzFeed had another article with another accuser saying she filed a lawsuit against him from behavior in 2015, 2016. So this is recent behavior. I'll read about what she claimed. The lawsuit centered on behavior that took place later from 2015 to 2016. I'm just trying to see exactly what it was. Basically the same kind of behavior. He began to make sexual advances in the form of inappropriate comments and touching. Behaviors and actions were so common and pervasive that they created a hostile work environment. And it was settled with taxpayer money without revealing what the charges were and why it was settled. And Mike Cernovich and BuzzFeed News make a good point that we should know how this money is being sent spent to settle accusations of misconduct, whether it be sexual or otherwise, of members of Congress. So Nancy Pelosi gets her hypocrite hat on. Let me find that for you. Nancy Pelosi appeared on Chuck Todd's show, Meet the Press, today. I have a few times marked. She talks both about Conyers and about Roy Moore, and you want to hear what the difference is between the two.
Why do you think the reaction was different by women on Bill Clinton? And I say that because it does seem as if, frankly, when you watch some of the reactions by the president in defending Roy Moore, or at least overlooking the allegations against Roy Moore, that were you putting politics ahead of your personal disgust?
No, but we're talking about a child molester. We're talking about a child molester.
But President Clinton was accused of being a sexual predator.
Well,
so I didn't have exactly pulled up what Roy Moore was accused of, but it wasn't. Well, there was one accusation of having a girl put her hand on his member over his underpants, and a few allegations of forceful kissing with girls that were underage. She calls him a child molester.
But why do you think the reaction was different by women on Bill Clinton? And I say that because it does seem as if, frankly, when you watch some of the reactions by the president in defending Roy Moore, or at least overlooking the allegations against Roy Moore, that were you putting politics ahead of your personal disgust?
no, but we're talking about a child molester. We're talking about a child molester.
But President Clinton was accused of being a sexual predator.
Well,
and of even rape at one point by one accuser.
Why don't we talk instead about how we go forward? Nobody is proud of President Clinton's behavior at the time, but he was being impeached.
But I think the reason there's a relitigation of this is that the concern is that.
So I like seeing her get very uncomfortable when asked about President Clinton also.
Frankly, when you watch some of the reactions by the president in defending Roy Moore by one accuser.
Why don't we talk instead about how...
Anyway, let me get to the next point on her. That's her reaction to Roy Moore. I just want to contrast that with her reaction about fellow Democrat John Conyers. This is what's going to be in the news right now.
Past decisions and go forward.
So define zero tolerance. You said there's now a zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him now?
But let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Just because someone is accused. And was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do. I believe that he will. Excuse me, may I finish my sentence? Sure. That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation, that he's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
But he got it. He took advantage of a situation where he had the rules of Congress, and I know you guys want to change these rules, but he got to hide his settlement. He got to, his accusers had to go through all sorts of craziness. So why is he entitled to new due process in this case?
No, we are talking about what we have heard. I've asked the Ethics Committee to review that. Yeah. He has said he'd be open. It will cooperate with any review. Excuse me?
Do you believe John Conyers is accused?
I don't know who they are. Do you? They have not really come forward. And that gets
so you don't know if you believe the accusations?
That's for the Ethics Committee to review. But I believe he understands what is at stake here, and he will do the right thing. But all of these non-disclosure agreements have to go. And by the way, some...
Pretty damning stuff, I think, from Pelosi. I don't think, she's just a hypocrite. She says, first of all, that Roy Moore, where the allegations haven't been proven and he denies them, is a child molester. John Conyers needs due process. And she is casting doubt on what the victims or the alleged victims have said. Do you know Do you know her? What is it? 1, 2? So that's what's going to be in the news for Nancy Pelosi as far as hypocrisy. Now, then, we're going to go one step further and review something I did a video on yesterday, but I'm going to go a little more in depth on it. And it's not to attack Mike Cernovich exactly. It's just so people have the information, if they want it, about these guys that are in the alt media, that are popular, and that are on Alex Jones. In these times, breaking stories like this about sexual misconduct. And he, that's him from his bodybuilding days, Mike Cernovich. He says he gave that story to BuzzFeed because he didn't want to be the focus of the story, basically, and he wanted it to be taken into serious consideration. Is it possible that he didn't want to break a story about sexual misconduct so that he wouldn't get targeted for kind of the things he has said in the past? This sort of shocking clip, which may be cut and pasted together, but sounds like Mike Cernovich saying the things on a radio show. So I will say that. I have it from Twitter, from a post from Vic Berger IV, and I have not verified the source material. I just am going based on Mike Cernovich's voice and the fact that I'm going to show you the article he wrote, which he refers to in this, which the article he wrote is on his blog.
Build a rotation of 3 to 5 girls, and you will find out all girls are the same. Once you realize that it's essentially pussy is fungible, then there's no pedestal. You're like, well, it's good pussy, and I like it. But nobody would really say, like, okay, this is how you fuck a girl. Like,
right,
this
practical bullshit.
Yeah, this is how you fucking choke a bitch. You see a fucking girl, how do you tell if she's submissive? How do you get a girl and put her arms behind her back and pin her up against the wall and say you like being choked? And how do you squeeze her without her coughing and without actually hurting her larynx? My seminal post was, you know how to choke a woman.
Right.
How do you fucking do just dark, depraved, twisted shit that women love? And that's the thing.
Well, hang on. You think women love this? Because I don't know. Like, I don't think women love this.
You know, I fucked a girl. She said I raped her. That cost me 50 grand. It cost me 5 years of my life.
But it made you who you are
yeah,
today.
But now look at me now. What if I had not fucked her? Well, maybe I'd be some fucking schlub, dude, living a life of quiet desperation with 3 kids and a wife that hates me.
You should send her a card saying thank you.
I was arrested by federal marshals for rape, and my ex-wife came to bail me out of jail. When I split with my wife, that I cheated on her, ruthlessly. Towards the end. One of my earlier blog posts was blowing bitches out, and the whole concept with this is fuck these bitches. If they fucking say something stupid, I'm just gonna blow the bitch out and fucking hurt her feelings. So I had a post like how I respond to shit tests, and some girl was shit talking me. So I found out her age, and I said, look at you, you're 32 and you probably came out to LA with big dreams and you were excited about life, and now you're single and you got
damn.
Yeah, cause fuck you, bitch. I ain't fucking passing your shit test. I'm gonna ruin your whole fucking week, and you're gonna go fuck some dude because you're just gonna want to feel loved.
Sorry for the dramatic music. I try to stay away from that. Yes, it is edited together, and yes, it is designed to make him look bad. Yes, he broke a very important story. But by offering $10,000 for information on John Conyers, which is another part of the story, he said his seminal post was how to choke a woman during sex, which is this post right here from December 26th, 2011 by Mike Cernovich on his website, Danger and Play. Mike Cernovich promotes being an alpha male, not being a beta male, being masculine. And what that means is being aggressive. I might read you, the article's kind of shocking. Well, maybe not to you. What I will say about the article is that I think it's okay. I think you can, I think it can happen that choking is okay during lovemaking with consent. A lot of things are okay with consent, clear consent, both parties, and then whatever precautions have to be taken, like safe words, etc. I don't see much mention in this article about consent. So that is where I feel like a reader could get the wrong idea, perhaps. So this is still published on his website. He didn't take it down, and has to do with his gorilla mindset, being an alpha male. And it's called How to Choke a Woman During Sex. Women enjoy being choked during sex. That's the first sentence. Women enjoy being choked during sex. It turns them on and gives them more powerful orgasms. But as a man, you need to know the right way to choke a woman. Choking works. Okay, why do women enjoy being choked during sex? Choking works because it's a show of dominance. More than anything, a woman wants an alpha male. And you can read How to Be a More Dominant Man. Talks about how 50 Shades of Grey is popular, how women have rape fantasies, which they do. And again, I'm not saying this kind of sexual activity is bad in and of itself. Like I said, it would just be nice to see more mentions about having permission to do this thing, which you say that women love. And I would propose that not all women love it, especially if taken by surprise. He goes on to say, given the prevalence of the rape fantasy and the desire women have to be dominated, it only makes sense to learn how to properly choke a woman. And here he gives his one caveat. Warning, sexual choking is not child's play. Don't be aggro. Be prepared to call 911 if anything goes wrong. He tells a story about choking someone and how she liked it. Says that you don't want to press against her windpipe. Instead, you must, this is a quote from the article, instead, you must go for the carotid artery, which are the two lines of veins on either side of the neck. When you squeeze the carotid artery, the girl shouldn't cough, as your hands are not on her windpipe. Talks about why that helps. He says once you've cut off oxygen to her brain, she has about 3 to 5 seconds before passing out. During those 3 to 5 seconds, her sexual pleasure will increase measurably. And then, some women enjoy being choked out unconscious, although this technique is for advanced users only. He talks about another experience of choking a girl in a bar. Some women enjoy a light squeeze, whereas other girls enjoy being choked unconscious. As with all forms of dominance play, start off slowly and work your way toward the kinkier stuff. He says, I like choking a woman right up until her eyes almost go lifeless. Women also love this. Once the life returns to her, it's as if she came back from the other side. I've also choked women unconscious. I do not recommend others do this. These girls were always fine once you release the pressure from her carotid arteries, thus allowing blood flow to return to her brain. You should also choke your girl when standing around. Consider it a public display of affection. Choking is also a useful indicator of your strength as a man. If you are an alpha male, a woman will crave your domination and show of strength. If women do not regularly let you choke them, your game is weak. You're giving off a weak beta male vibe and are lucky to be getting any sex at all. And then he does say, have fun, but be careful. I found it, it's kind of shocking, I'd say. Not to say it's activity that people don't engage in a very healthy way, but it's just information, y'all. I'm just giving you the information. Okay, I'm going to, I have some international news about the Egypt stuff, but it's probably kind of boring. I'll take phone calls. I didn't tell you ahead of time. I'll be taking phone calls. This is my number, 650-429-8294. I welcome your opinions. Was it a controversial show? I don't know. I don't shy away from controversy, though. The thing on the bottom of the screen here that says twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. I'm live on Twitch right now. I have about 50 people watching, I think, on a Sunday. 43, it says. And then I have you joining me on YouTube, which I appreciate. On a Sunday, no less. I did already say, you go to Patreon right now, and basically you can get mugs and t-shirts with free shipping. Cyber Monday. Cheaper than you can get on the website. Shipping's expensive, but I can only do this. It's 10 slots for each thing. Mugs and t-shirts. The white version of this, which you'll like. So sign up for that before the end of the month, because you get sent the thing after you get charged. And if you don't do it at the end of this month, then you won't get it till January. So I expect them to sell out. We'll see. But if you've been waiting to become a donor on Patreon, don't wait. For God's sake. I really work hard. And I'm against all odds too. So I appreciate everybody who does give me support. And I'm glad the merchandise thing is working out for people too. I mean, reasonably well. I sell stickers too, by the way. Maybe I'll give away a window sticker with each order. I might do that. It says what it is on it. I'll wait for people to catch up. Trying to build this channel. Hopefully it'll come back. 650 gay taxi. Maybe I will tell you the news about this mosque bombing in Egypt. This was reported on CNN that the attackers killed over 200 people, supposedly. The mosque attackers wore military uniforms and arrived in SUVs. I don't know if that sounds familiar. Dozens of men wearing military combat uniforms, armed with automatic machine guns, carried out the deadly assault on a Sufi mosque in northern Sinai. 25 to 30 attackers, and one was carrying an ISIS flag, although ISIS hasn't claimed responsibility. Sufism is mostly Sunni. Saudi Arabia is Sunni. Iran is not. The response is that Egypt attack is going to spur on a Saudi-backed Muslim military alliance, says Mohammed bin Salman. So if you want to know the result of this latest terror attack, alleged terror attack, put on by men in military gear coming out of SUVs, they're planning to strike back. They're already bombing. So we've seen it before when big terror attacks turn into big military responses. That's what we're afraid of might happen here again. Cernovich was on live taking a press conference today. We'll see if I get callers. Maybe I don't have enough people tuned in. If I don't, then I'll just try to come back tomorrow. For another show, which I do almost every day. Saved by the bell. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. And I just wanted to thank you and give you some kudos for the Halbig interview. And how it was amazing to me that the mainstream media, well, it's not amazing, I guess, but how the mainstream media just totally ignored that story. Did you notice that?
Well, not just the mainstream media. I'm the only one who's interviewed him on YouTube since that happened. And somebody else with another channel pointed out that my video was out there and it only had about 3,000 views. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. It's one of the things about having lost all my subscribers and stuff. It's big news. I couldn't get out there. But it was a great interview, I thought. So thanks.
Yeah, no, it No. Truly, it was great, and you interviewed really well. And he's a tough one as well. I've heard him on Higher Side Chats and various other places, and I think it's because I don't know. He's so honest, isn't he?
Yeah, he seems like the real deal. That's why I had him on. I mean, I've seen people question his honesty before and whether he was in it for money. And I listened to a lot of his shows. Yeah, and he seems like really, really legit, and like he's really fighting the good fight through a lot of difficulties too. He's very determined.
I mean, I kind of actually think that he's a bit of a hero.
Yeah.
In terms of this particular story. And I'm waiting for the hero to emerge for the Las Vegas shooting as well. Where did you get to on the Las Vegas shooting in terms of, what do you think? What's your appraisal?
What do I think happened? Well, I early on thought it could have been a hoax because of the crisis actors and stuff, but quickly changed that. Actually, I listened to a few psychics, like mediums, who claimed to have talked with Stephen Paddock, that had information that worked out being similar to the final information, that it was some kind of work with terrorists in some way or ISIS in some way. Because I think there was a Saudi operation of some sort. I think it was maybe a gun deal gone wrong. It may have been an assassination attempt against bin Salman, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I just don't have enough information, but those helicopters and everything. Jake Morphonios kind of has done the most on it, I think. And if you believe him, that's End Times News Report. And if you believe him, he's been targeted, and he certainly had a flat tire about 15 times or something. So it seems like he's maybe the guy that's been out front and has been able to stick around for one reason or another, wasn't taken off YouTube for talking about it the way I was.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing to me that there's this kind of ever-decreasing media coverage of these huge events. And when you think about, 9/11 and what's happened in the last, decade and a half since then, there's been a flurry of these, whether or not you want to call them false flag hybrids or whatever. And every single time it just sort of seems like we move on, very quickly. Las Vegas was bizarre because, even if it was some sort of hybrid event, and I think I mentioned to you a while back that I think it was just big game hunting by rich people. Right. We just moved on. Nobody's talking about it really. And look, it's 50-something people died, and no matter which way you skin this onion, the fact of the matter is, I don't know, 20 years ago, how would we have taken it?
Yeah, well, people, certainly the mainstream media dropped this story. The FBI and the Sheriff's Department stopped talking about it completely pretty early on. And it's been the responsibility or the negligence of the mainstream media to ask a lot more questions. Although Fox, Hannity Tucker, did a pretty good job staying on top of it for at least a month after it happened, and maybe longer. And I think there's a chance people will still go back to it as more information comes out and lawsuits are being filed. It was definitely a big event that didn't go right as far as the cover up for it. Something wasn't right. I know,
but to me, that's also quite interesting because, look, these are the guys, and whether or not they're one group or two groups, or whether they're Jesuits or Illuminati or whatever, these are the guys who pulled off 9/11 and probably the sinking of the Titanic and probably the First and Second World Wars, right? How is it that something like this could go so awry, except if they deliberately did it so,
That's an interesting idea. I don't know. Maybe because there were different forces at work and the FBI thought one thing was going to happen and the Saudis pulled something else, and then they just had to cover it up because of they couldn't admit their involvement in something that went wrong. But it's hard to believe for some people that anything happens not by design by these people. But I think the I think there's a sense that they've lost control a little bit, that the rituals don't work anymore, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. How do you feel about this? There's a lot of chatter about we're heading towards something, right? That since 9/11, the pedal hit the metal, and all these events, you just think about the flurry of them over the last 16 years or so, and even it's an increasing amount, right? Even in the last 12 months, how much has happened, and it feels as though we're heading towards something. And a lot of people talk about 2018 being 11, COVID.
Right.
What are your feelings about that? And do you sort of believe in any of the kind of gematria astrological number stuff?
Well, I believe that everything adds up, but I don't take what everybody says on YouTube as gospel, and I think some of it is a little bit of hocus pocus. But I do think there is a way in this universe that things do add up, and so there is something to that. I thought maybe something would happen on November 9th because it's a 9/11. It would make sense.
Right.
And so I do believe there's something to dates for sure. And they do things at certain points in the calendar. Being sun worshipers, I guess that makes sense. Maybe some rituals work better during certain times or other times. And then I do believe something's going to happen. If nothing else, the stock market's there's going to be a financial crisis. It just depends on whether that's precipitated by some major event, which I kind of had been led to believe by researching and just getting the news around the edges. It just seemed like something was due to happen like yesterday, this month even. So I at this point, I am expecting a reset of some kind or a cataclysm of some kind that allows the change that we need to take place. That there has to be a shaking up of the paradigm in one way or the other. So I do believe that. But yeah, I don't know. Just because 2018 is an 11, yeah, it could mean something. It's hard to predict these things. It's really hard to predict the future.
Yeah, no, of course. And otherwise, that would be too easy, right? I mean, if we started going, on every 9/11 or 11/11, something happened. I mean, it would be a bit too obvious.
Right.
There's a guy who I follow on YouTube called Michael Joseph, and he has completely taken apart and gone way deep in terms of reading Blavatsky and Pike and all that sort of stuff, and Manly Hall. What he believes is their actual religion and their beliefs, and ties it into the JFK assassination, the moon landing, and more recently 9/11. And it's really compelling. It's really quite amazing stuff. I can't remember I think he's Schism something, a couple of numbers.
Yeah.
But his name's Michael Joseph, and he was just actually on Sage of Quay, a radio show. And man, you should get him on, because I reckon you would dig his brain just in terms of his approach to stuff. And he's so analytical, it feels like the guy has spent 20 years studying. He's a young kid, he's like 30, going into this, and it's just so powerful and compelling. It's kind of eerie.
Okay, I'm on his page now. I found it. Yeah, Schism 206. I'm looking at the titles for the videos and everything. It looks like I might be interested. So I'll keep it up and see if I have some time to review his stuff.
Cool, man. Well, listen, Nathan, keep up the good work, brother.
Thanks very much.
I really love the show, and I've sponsored you on Patreon, and you're one of the real ones.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Remind you guys, Cyber Monday, I'm on Patreon right now. Free shipping, basically, which is expensive. That's how Amazon kills everything. Free shipping. It's crazy. That was a good call. I'll see if I get another call, and if not, I can wrap up the show early today. Then try to come back with a blockbuster show tomorrow, if the news demands it. Hope it was a good show for everybody today. I had a good time. I always like hanging out with you guys. I was on DeFango's show yesterday. The one with Singularity Net in the title, cryptocurrency. If you bought Bitcoin back when I said you might want to, or LiteCoin, you're up quite a bit. So that's great. Crypto. It's the future. If you want to change yourself and change the world, think about crypto. Think about accumulating some. $20 a month even. Don't worry too much about the prices. I would say it's not a bad idea. I would say silver and gold are okay too. I think cryptocurrency will eventually settle in physical silver or gold because you can't have an exclusively virtual currency. Bitcoin will have to be priced in gold or silver or both, which will raise the price of those commodities. So those are okay too. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. JJ.
What's up, JJ? Good? Yeah, I can hear you well.
Awesome, man. There was a guy in chat that wanted to ask about what you thought about the new posts. Are you thinking that's possibly Trump, or you think it's part of his party, or what?
I don't know what it is. It seems like the information is good, or that the breadcrumbs lead in the right way, but I don't know what it is. And but I think it's worth paying attention to, which is why I do, and I follow the people who talk about it. And my only point with this show was just that not to necessarily. I don't know how he's related to Trump. I just don't know. I think it's putting too much faith in Donald Trump, though, is the thing about it. Is I think it gives Donald Trump too much credit and takes away some of the responsibility from each of us to change the world.
Yep, I believe it. That's great, man. I just wanted to call and say hi. Everything's going great in life, so.
Oh, that's great.
Loving it.
That's great,
Loving
JJ.
it.
Great to hear it.
Yep. Awesome. Cool.
All right, man.
Get on with the show. Have a good night, bud.
You too, JJ. Cheers. Cool. That's nice. I'll see if I get one more call. Little bit of a slow day, I guess. But it's Sunday. Sunday. 650 Gay Taxi. Thanks for joining me. Always. Oh, great. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. This is Preston from the other LA.
Hey, Preston. Good to hear from you, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I really can't complain. I wanted to ask your opinions on Bitcoin or Litecoin.
You want me to tell you? Go ahead. What's your question?
Well, so basically, the only way that we can base its value, Bitcoin, Litecoin, the only way you can base its value is off of U.S. dollars. To us, U.S. dollars. It's only based off of that value, right?
Well, there are a few different currency pairs for it, but the most common one is U.S. dollar. It's also priced in euros on other exchanges.
Okay, so I guess my question is taking people that are taking this currency, U.S. currency, and they're putting it into Bitcoin. So taking that cash from what we call the Federal Reserve. Over time, will that cause a big issue? Because there's nothing to replace that.
Well, it basically lowers the demand for dollars, if enough money goes in there, which lowers the value of the dollars. There is going to be a problem for central banks because of cryptocurrency, just because they're not controllable and you can't print more or loan them out from a central bank that you create out of nothing. Are you suggesting that we'll run out of liquidity because of investing so much in crypto? Is that what you mean?
No, not really. I guess I was just thinking of you're basically Bitcoin can only be valued on what the currency is, and so once you're taking the U.S. dollars and then transferring it into Bitcoin, there's nothing cycling back into the Federal Reserve. Over time, wouldn't that cause a big problem?
There's nothing cycling back into the Central Reserve.
I guess I'm not wording it right. Maybe I need to look and see how it's traded and how it's being defined.
I mean, the when you buy it, the money goes to something else, whoever's selling it, and then that money returns or remains in circulation. So the money doesn't disappear, just like with any other transactions. It ends up at your counterpart. The person you're buying from ends up with the money, and then it goes back into circulation, we assume. So there wouldn't be a problem in that sense, I guess.
Right. Well, a couple of months ago, I would have laughed at you if somebody asked me about Bitcoin, and now I'm like wanting to invest. If a company like Amazon jumps on this, I mean, I think it's going to boom. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. And I suggest that people be diversified. Bitcoin is definitely doing great. I mean, it's hard to say anything. It's just that with these currencies, it could be that Bitcoin could one day fall out of favor, and then you want to make sure you have a few of the other currencies in case suddenly, for some reason, one of them becomes dominant. You don't lose too much. But yeah, I think things like LiteCoin, I think, which, has almost doubled since I started talking about it. Bitcoin's almost tripled. I think LiteCoin could do well. I think Ether is good to get into. Like if you go on Coinbase, you can just buy the currencies they offer, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and LiteCoin, and you'd be a little diversified. And I think crypto is going to change the world. I do. So I'm pretty bullish on it, even at these prices.
Cool, man.
So
well, thank you, and I'm gonna really look into it some more.
Yeah, look into it.
Try to get ahead of it.
Yeah, you don't have to invest much. So.
Hey, let me ask you this: what do you think about what information we have about the guy who started this? Does anybody know a name? Does anybody?
Yeah, that's the most interesting question about Bitcoin, and then everything else that's been developed off of it is who made it, what were his or their motives for doing it. And I'd say if for all the questions people have about cryptocurrency, that's probably the one that's can be the most troubling, because we really don't know. I don't think it was AI or anything the way Quinn Michaels suggested it might be. But it could have been done. It could have been done that's the thing. We just don't know the reason it was created. People have decided in, the alternative media community and sort of the libertarian movement that, after looking at it, it's incredibly useful for breaking away from central banking. And, that's what it seems on the surface to be good for. So what if there is something though underneath the surface, a more nefarious objective by creating it? Yeah, that not knowing the creator is it's an open question. We just don't know.
Right. Well, thank you, Nathan, for what you do, man.
Thanks,
and I support you every month as much as I can support, man.
I appreciate it, Preston. That's great. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Good hearing from you.
All right.
Cheers. That's nice. I'll see it. That call came in quick. I guess I can see if another one comes in. People are tuned in and everything. It's been an hour, 15 minutes. Okay. Doshi didn't show up for the whole show, huh? I don't know why. Okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, you change the world, and buy some crypto. That changes the world too. But not too much. I mean, I don't know. Make sure you don't have to. Anyway, I don't want to encourage anybody to lose money, but I think it's a good investment. I really do. I would buy more more LiteCoin right now if I had more money. So thanks for tuning into my show. You can tune in live. I plan to be live tomorrow. Hopefully the news will warrant it. Hopefully I have enough to cover. I'm live most days, 7 days a week at 1:11 p.m. Pacific time, 4:11 p.m. Eastern time. Please check into this channel for breaking news. We haven't had any for a while, or large events like the big Antifa protest on November 4th, for example, or the church shooting, which I covered as well as it was breaking. So tune in here for those kinds of things. We assume they're going to happen one of these days, but keep tuning in for learning how to change the world, solutions to these problems we see out in front of us, and keep tuning in to be informed. That's what it is.